Hey everybody, welcome back to God Given Couple Monday with Jolly, Molly, and Johnny.
You can't do G's with your thing.
No, I can't.
G's.
You're weird.
God given.
Just put it down. Just put it down. Okay, so today we want to talk about something that it was like we were driving in the car and it was like a duh moment. And it's one of those things where when you have that certain self-awareness and level of like maturity and wisdom, you come to a point where you won't argue as much when you have this certain level of wisdom. And this is what I found, because I found that I argue with you far less, or I get triggered with you far less than any other person I've ever dated. And this comes for, like, this is like a personal revelation that you have to have, and you have to believe it, and you have to actually, really coach yourself through it. What am I talking about? Talking about, what's the topic again? I just forgot it.
I'm not responsible for your emotions.
That's it. I'm not responsible for your emotions. So meaning, if he says something to me that I don't like, he's not responsible for how I take it, how I feel. So if he gives me some kind of like personal feedback and I don't like it, and he's coming from a good place, because obviously, as my boyfriend and the person I love, like, you're not going to come out of a malicious intent, right? I always choose to see the good in people and to see that people want what's best for you. They're not going to try to hurt you, trigger you. There are all those people out there. But when people say things like, truth can be it can be ugly. It can be hard to hear.
Hurts.
Truth does hurt. Ugly. But at the same time, it's something that you need to hear, not everything that you want to hear. So if you took something that somebody was saying that was truthful, but it hurts your feelings, that person's not responsible for how you feel, for how you interpret it. Now, it's your responsibility. So if Johnny were to tell me something that I didn't want to hear, that I didn't like, but I needed to hear it, like, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
We were trying to talk about this too, and of course, once you sit in it, like,
I legit don't have any example.
Like of something that I've gotten triggered by?
That you've gotten triggered by?
Yeah. From something that you've said? I know this is tough.
Really?
Well, let's use this example, for example. So we talked about this last week. So one thing with Johnny is that, like, he is on that CPT, that colored people time.
We covered that in the last post.
But I'm always on time. Like, I'm on time. I'm early. Like, being on time, punctual, that's a thing for me. So whenever I would get on Johnny, I'd always start to kind of feel bad. I'm like, okay, I don't want him to think that I'm attacking him. But, like, dude, like, be on time for once. Yeah. True. Why does that not trigger you when I'm constantly pushing your buttons to be on time for something so simple yet honestly so hard for you? Like, why doesn't that trigger you to be like, because you have all these other things that are going on. Things are going on in your head that I don't know about. Why does that not trigger you? Something so simple, because a lot of simple things really do trigger us. So I'm curious, why does that not trigger you?
I think it's mainly because I know you love me, and I know you want what's best for me, and so yeah, like, I know you're doing it out of a good place.
So it's that simple.
Yeah. So
that's so crazy, because, like, I firmly believe the whole, like, when your emotions get so wrapped up in what other people say, there's a level of distrust there. There's a level of, I don't trust you enough to tell me these things and believe what you're saying. And that can be really dangerous. That can be, like, really harmful. And so, yeah, if Johnny didn't know how much I loved him, then he would be probably triggered by that. And even there was another example that there's things that used to get triggered by for me. So dive into that. When I wasn't responsible for his emotions, however, it did cause him to be emotional, and we had to work through it. It's not that you can't work through it with the other person. You just got to, like, dig to the root instead of letting it sit and fester. Because when you let it sit and fester, that's where offense comes into play, anger, resentment, all these ugly things. And so we're talking about this because it's something that we've had to overcome in our relationship, but then also for me, and probably for you too, in past relationships, where, like, they weren't as, like, fluid. Not saying we're perfect, we still got our bumps, but there's a level of awareness, you guys, when you can actually, like, tell somebody how you're feeling, when you feel that, like, for me, it's like in the pit of my stomach, I just start to get hot, and I'm like, whoo, I'm getting upset. I gotta talk to that person before I blow, or let it sit there and then, like, possibly ruin a relationship. So, skirt, back up. What is something that I used to do to you that would get you to, kind of get that boil, that bubble inside?
I know one of the things that malls would do that I think I would take really wrong is if, like, let's say I'm a very affectionate person. I think I've made that more than known
is that when I would try to go and approach malls and, you know, like let's say I wanted hugs and kisses and things like that, and then all of a sudden she would kind of push me away, and I would just kind of want a little bit of, you know, like love and, you know, affection, kiss, whatever. Exactly like that.
I used to not do that, like hardly ever.
It was a minute before she did that. But it's funny because whenever she would push me away, I would instantly think in my head that she did not love me, or that she was feeling a particular way.
There was a block.
And so it was kind of interesting because as Molly and I were kind of researching this topic a little bit, we were thinking about 3 different aspects of how, how your emotions and how the thought process behind it could actually cut into your relationship in a horrifying way, in a way that's not even truthful. And so I just kind of want, do you want to tell it, babe?
Well, I actually want to just, before we dive into these things, like kind of go off his point. So if you didn't watch last week, go watch last week. That was super good. We dove in head first as to, you know, the differences in culture and in interracial dating. And so
It's intense.
Yeah, it was really good. A lot of fun, a lot of laughter. My dad got on, talked a little smack. He's funny. Talking about how the shelf isn't level. It's the way the camera's angled, guys. So if you're noticing that, just get over it.
It's level.
It's level. We checked it. But anyways, he used to get really triggered by that, and then I would get triggered because I'm like, wait, you don't know how I feel. Like, I'm not used to being in a relationship where somebody wants to be all over me, smooching, hugging, kissing, rubbing. I'm just like, no, like, I came from relationships where it was always long distance, so I had plenty of space, and I saw them maybe like once, twice a month, maybe. And so like all that was just kind of like, whoa, dude, like give me my space. I'm very much a like, you know, I have that independent, like, let me just do my own thing type of vibe. But then I was always missing that real connection, that real love, that real passion. That's what Johnny brings. And I was like, whoa, like I went from like 0 to 1,000, and it was crazy. So he would get upset when I wasn't doing what he wanted, and we would actually have arguments about this. And I would just be like kind of, not insensitively, but like, dude, you gotta get over it. Like, we're gonna figure this out. Otherwise, this is always gonna be an issue. And what if I never show more affection? Is this something as a deal breaker? So we had to have those conversations, but
They're tough.
I feel like, yeah, they were, because you were just kind of like, well, and I was like, shoot, like I felt myself starting to get reserved because I'm like, I can't change who I am. But what I realized is like, okay, it's going to take me time to open up. I'm not used to that, but that's his love language. The number one is, you know, physical touch, being able to show that passion, or being able to show, like, I'll throw up like on Instagram or Facebook, like a little post of appreciation. He loves that. He'll see it instantly and come give me a kiss. He loves that. And I know he does. And I want to show people because I don't need to have my love life private. Too many people say, you know, keep your love life private, keep it on the down low. And like, I'm over here just like, there's enough like havoc going on in the world. Like, things are good. People can learn. People can relish in like a good love and know something's out there for them. So I just want to be able to have, I want to be able to say that was a hard moment where he was getting like offended and hurt and like all these things. And then I was getting hurt because I'm just like, shoot, is he going to want to be with somebody who can't open up like that? And then we both were in a spot that we didn't want to be. So be careful. If you see somebody else get triggered by what you say, not just to let it go, but to ask questions. Or if you're the one getting triggered, be brave enough, be courageous enough to ask questions. Because if you don't, it's going to sit there and it's going to take root, and ugliness is going to like just blossom inside, and nobody wants a black flower.
So I think what's crazy is that, first of all, I love you. Like crazy. I want to make the world known that I love this woman, and that's that. Period. So, one of the crazy things is that what's crazy about this title is that I'm not responsible for your emotions. Now, when you think about it, that's kind of an irony, because whenever you speak to somebody, you're kind of like you're kind of like transmitting like a message, a feeling. There's a lot of ways through verbal communication things could be given, I guess. I wish I can go more in depth with this, but like if I say, hey, I hope you have a nice day, that's going to make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But if I say, hey, hope you have a nice day, it's like a totally different feel.
I instantly got offended by that.
It's just like, okay, like what am I supposed to do with that? It's almost like a sloppy sandwich. It's just like, am I supposed to eat this? Am I supposed to throw it in the garbage? I don't know, don't want it, don't care. But how I feel as a person is what truly matters. Not the person that said it, but more the one that's receiving it. So if somebody said, "Hey, I hope you have a good day, dude," and like it was super rude and offensive, how I choose to internalize that is going to be unbelievably crucial, because then at that point I'm now accepting responsibility for how that person communicated and was even trying to transmit a feeling, and it is my job to make sure I have that under control. And whether or not he meant it in a good way or bad way, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your business partner, whether it's whoever it is, whoever's on the receiving end of that thing, it's their choice to manage how it is that they feel and interpret and even meditate on that thing, right? And so I think that's one crucial part of a relationship that I don't think a lot of people engage with. They just kind of let it roll off the shoulders. And so when I kind of look at malls, there are certain things when we communicate that maybe one person is intending and the other person will have to leave room for interpretation until further communication, and that's the critical part. So like whenever I would want to get physical, or like not physical, but like whenever I would want to get let's say affectionate and be like hugging and kissing, like, "Hey boo, how was your day?" And let's say she had a rough day and she ends up pushing me off. She's like, "Babe, I'm not in the mood, just leave me alone for a sec." I can get really offended by that and saying, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm super happy to see her. I want to love her. I want to kiss her. And she doesn't want to do the same thing back." That's bad. Then that means, for one, she treated me like crap. Two, she must not love me. Three, I'm choosing to give my best efforts, and it's obviously not good enough. So here I have 3 lies in my head that are that I'm almost entertaining. You know, I'm not just having it in my forethoughts. I'm actually entertaining it. You know, similar to how you have people in your house, if you don't kick them out, then you're entertaining them. Same concept is that if you have thoughts that are infiltrating your mind, and even so, more so in your relationship, then those things are going to infect the environment that has been cultivated. So when I come back to malls and she comes back to me, and you know, I have already this bad aura around me, this bad attitude, it's just gonna be bad news bears, because at that point she's like I'm gonna already believe in my head how I see her because of how she made me feel. And so if she comes back to me, when she comes back to me, I'm so sorry, I love you. Mwah. When she comes back to me, then it's gonna be my job to understand, and this is the part of the relationship that a lot of people don't get, is the fact that when even though I may have interpreted the way she made me feel, when she comes back, it is my job to assimilate the conversation to ensure that things were meant in the way that she meant it, not in the way that I just interpreted it. Now there's interpretation, then there's communication, right? And so
no, that's good. I mean, and for Johnny to even admit that and think those things and be upset, that came from somewhere. So the real meat of this is that if you're interpreting something so far off of what they meant it, like if you're extremely hurt and you feel like you've been attacked, unless that person's evil and they really want to attack you, there usually isn't you're usually you're interpreting it in a way where you're bringing in past experiences, which it's hard not to. Your buddy Tom's coming on here. He's about ready to give you a compliment. And
I love it.
And you have to be able to sit in those emotions, be like, where's this coming from? Put it through a truth factor. Is this true? Is this something that is this really how I'm feeling right now? Or is this from some past experience that I'm experiencing at the moment? So a lot of times, like, you know, if Johnny's feeling unloved, she doesn't love me, like she doesn't care, this and that, it has to do with how he was treated in the past. And vice versa. You know, if Johnny said something that I didn't like, there's certain things where like he'll call me out on things. We were trying to figure this out before.
Yeah,
like, what
I
he's
can't
called
remember.
me out.
Like, so like this is kind of the cool. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to add this: is that this is like
He means to cut me off.
So like this is kind of the cool part of the dynamic of our relationship. And honestly, we're like to most people, we're still like brand new, right? Like even though we hop on these lives, by no means are we experts, nor do we even try to be so in a kind of like intellectually superior way. But what we do want to do throughout these lives is just kind of share our experience. And honestly, I'll share with you guys this, is that in our relationship, whenever we face something, there's been very few times where we've actually let something sit and get moldy up until like it just gets nasty, right? Whenever we're conflicting, whenever we're in a conflict, Tom, I love this too. Whenever we're in a conflict, we tend to handle it right then and there, unless it's really bad. We need space. That was, again, go back to our other video. That's color people stuff. Is that we need some time to heal. But there are times where whenever we're faced with a conflict, we handle it right there because we know the end result isn't going to be good. Is that if I'm already harboring some way about how it is that I feel about Malls in a way that she didn't make me feel good or loved or whatever, then I'm going to then project what it is that was in my head. So now we have projection coming into play. And then now if that projection leads to an unhealthy view to how I see the love of my life, that's obviously not a good thing. That's something that we have to communicate.
That's right. Before we move on, we got a couple comments. I saw Crystal up
Tom,
in here. Hey, Crystal.
I love you.
Jesse said, best
You make
looking
my
couple.
heart beat.
Wow, looking good, dude. But Molly, hot as always. Good headband. Isn't this headband cute? I got it as a gift. That's
It's
right.
fire.
Randy says, hey. Tom says, stop it. When is the wedding?
TBD.
Crystal said, this is good stuff. I'm speechless. That's a first. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. You guys are great. We love you.
This headband though? Tell me my girl
This
ain't
headband,
fire.
yeah, from Brianna Flores. So your sister-in-law, Fuego.
Thank
It's
you.
hiding my roots in the coloring I need to get done. Ladies, drop a one if you feel me in that chat. I need to hide the hair.
Man, you need a woman that wears a headband like this.
But
This is
let's
unreal.
move. Let's move. Okay, so let's talk about taking in place of expectation, put appreciation. That was one of the points that we put down.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this the other day. Actually, is like, okay, what do you think about expectation? You know, what do you think about expectation? Where when you go into a certain situation, do you expect things or not? And here's where I think expectation can get tricky. There's certain times where you want to go in with an expectation, a certain level of I want to come out with X. But more often than not, I don't like to do that because I like to leave room for things to naturally manifest, naturally just come about. But, you know, if I want to make a certain amount of money, if I need to hit a certain amount of sales, if I need to talk to certain people, sure, get that done. But so many people will put expectations like on a significant other. Like I could say, babe, take this in the best way possible. My expectation is I want Johnny to be 6 feet tall. Johnny will never be 6 feet tall.
Don't know if you guys know this, but that's not gonna happen.
So Johnny is never going to be 6 feet tall. If I put that expectation on him, guess what? He's always going to fail, and that's never going to come to fruition. If there's a certain character trait of Johnny's that I needed him to, I don't know, do whatever, and he's not that person, he's never going to meet that. So I use the obvious, the 6 feet tall, he's never going to get there. You know, if I wanted Johnny to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, that's not his zone. His zone is being a creative. You know, be the CEO of Rose Gold, sorry. But like, I mean, his own company.
Hooping on my dreams here.
But like, anyways, the
NBA,
whole...
CEO.
Yeah, NBA, NFL, not gonna happen. babe, sorry.
Yeah. So, okay.
So at the end of the day, like, those are real extremes, but you have to sit there and ask yourself, are you putting expectations on your significant other where they're never going to be able to meet them because that's something that you wanted? Maybe you had something in an ex that you want in your present, and the present's never going to meet that because she or he is not your ex. You know, Johnny's never going to be 6 feet tall. I don't need somebody who's 6 feet tall to make me happy. Johnny makes me happy exactly the way he is. And so the thing that you have to switch it is appreciate them for what they are. And honestly, I hate to say this, but if that person's not enough and doesn't meet your needs, I don't want to say expectations, doesn't meet your needs, then you have to ask yourself, is this right? Is this something I want to work through or not? And so there's a lot of things about Johnny in the very beginning is we both dove into this relationship as new as we are, and it'll be a year this year, as new as we are, it was one of those things where we dove in head first. We asked each other the most important, deep questions. The wrong concept. But at the end of the day, like, we wanted to get to the meat and be like, is this going to be worth it? You know, I joke about this, but then also not. Like, I'm 30 years old. At 23, I was on a hubby hunt. Like, I was relationship after relationship. Like, I wanted to find a husband. I want to have kids. You know, I want to be able to build an empire, but got a different plans and wanted to mold me and show me a different man that he had designed for me. And I had to stop being singleness and appreciate the season I was in, rather than having those expectations that I set for myself that I needed a man and I needed him like that. And when I had those expectations, it got me into places where like, maybe I shouldn't be here, you know, because I was rushing the process.
Facts.
So I don't know what you want to say on that, babe, but switch those expectations for appreciation, you guys, for the person that you do have or for the person that you want. Because if you don't have somebody yet, write a list. Write a list of the character traits and the type of man that you want, and really stick true to that. What's beautiful about this quarantine is nobody can go on dates right now if you're single. You can go on Zoom dates, you know, everybody's technically online dating, but take this time to really dive into your singleness and appreciate the season that you're in, instead of being like, oh, I wish I was with somebody, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. We all can do the shoulda, woulda, coulda game. You can go watch my live yesterday, choose growth over guilt, and choose growth over guilt, and you'll really be able to dig deep as to, rather than sitting in the, I should have done this, I should have done that, really appreciate the season that you're in and be able to move forward rather than always thinking backwards. I know that was kind of a tangent there, but what do you have to say on the expectation, trading expectation for appreciation?
Interesting. Actually, yeah, that kind of took a turn. There's this one quote, and for all you guys, this is the bar of the century. It was written by, it was made by Albert Einstein, so smart guy. Not some, social media guru. It's Albert Einstein. You ever heard of him? He said that if you ever judge a fish's ability to climb a tree, it will forever go its life thinking it's stupid. And so that quote speaks volumes, because whenever we judge somebody on an unfair scale, they will never feel like they'll be adequate, competent, fair to do the job. They'll always fall short some way, somehow. And so again, if you're judging a creative to maybe run a full-fledged business, and that person can't, then they're always going to feel stupid. If you find somebody that, like, especially in a relationship, you get somebody from maybe a haunted past, where there was like a lot of emotional manipulation and abuse and things like that, and you expect them to be on your level of emotional health and intelligence and mental and physical, like that may not just happen. So what was like the main thing that you were trying to
emphasize?
Yeah, emphasize.
Just the fact of, like, so many people will go in with expectations how they want things to go, and then instead of coming out with like the appreciation factor. So when you're talking about somebody's emotions, like, everybody has certain expectations. We're human, and we want certain things out of a relationship. We want to feel, loved, appreciated, wanted, cared for, things like that. Those are all very kind of duh things. But there's going to be certain things that maybe this person didn't check off your list. Appreciate the things that they are rather than they are not. And if there's too many things that they are that you don't like, then you have to make that decision. Is this my person? Like, quit settling just because it's like, it's good enough. You want to make sure that that's really somebody you're compatible with, things that you can even work through and that they're willing to work through. Because I see a lot of couples will go into relationships where they're like, oh, I can deal with that. Settle, number one. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's okay. They won't be like this all the time. Settle, number two. Oh, they won't treat me like this all the time. Settle, number three. And then it keeps repeating itself, and they're continuing to settle because that's what they're programming themselves to do. Mm-hmm. That's a negative. But if a person's doing something that's maybe not great, where they're putting you down and they don't really know it, or they're, creating a negative environment, you want to be able to go to that person being like, hey, when you do this, it makes me feel like X. And if they're willing to work on it, awesome, great. There's great people that there could be two great people, maybe, okay qualities that mesh, but you don't want just an okay relationship. You want something that's going to thrive. Because for me, I know I didn't want to settle. I was like, God diverted me from, a couple different relationships, and definitely from somebody who I thought I was going to marry, to be able to pave the way for Johnny. And so I didn't want to settle for mediocre for myself. I needed to grow as well, but then also be able to be the type of woman that could attract my king. And so I guess, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think I keep going in tangents here, but these things just keep coming up, so I keep flowing. That's why I love lives.
Well, I know we talked about kind of like the emotional aspect of things, and so I don't know. I don't really know what to add on that note. I know Diamond added something. He said, in 2001, I was told my brother mentor, Philip Buchanan, who drafted 16 over in the first round, that if you live your life expecting the unexpected, just in case the unexpected happens, you were expecting it, #optimism, which complements what Molly just stated. You can't rush perfection or what's destined, but what it takes, supreme belief. Interesting. I kind of understand what that means.
Expecting the unexpected just in case the unexpected happens. Oh, expecting the unexpected. So, like, you want to expect the best, the absolute best case scenario out of things. And you're not going to be disappointed if you're let down because, like, shoot, that was really unexpected. But then you're also prepped because you know that you deserve whatever should be coming to you. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? So, like, his buddy who was drafted, he didn't expect to be drafted, but then he expected it. Like, being, like, expecting to get drafted, like, going into the draft for the, like, NFL, I'm assuming, or the NBA or whatever.
Army?
No, I'm pretty sure it was one of the sports. So if you're going to be, like, if you're wanting to go into the NFL draft, there's thousands and thousands of athletes that want to do that, right? Well, go into it thinking, like, worst case scenario, I don't get drafted, okay? But then if I do get drafted, oh, shoot, here we go, let's run it. So he was expecting both.
Got it.
So he, like, either way, he was okay. Because one of the things, and I can totally relate to that, and Diamond, tell me, okay, perfect, he said I got it right. Because if you expect the worst case scenario, not trying to be a downer, but sometimes I'll go into things and be like, okay, worst case scenario is this. Case in point, I just want to touch on this. So we went to, this might irritate some people, we went to the beach the other day. Beaches are open here in Orange County, a lot of controversy around them. I still need vitamin D and I need mental health, and people were very far away from each other sitting on the beach. So anyways, it took us 90 minutes to find parking. 90 minutes to find parking. And we went to 2 different beaches. So I was freaking out. I was like, like expecting, like, we should have gone earlier. We should have done this. We should have done that. And I was just like freaking out. But then I had to sit myself in the car. I'm like, okay, Molly. Everybody, it's 90 degrees today. Everybody wants to come out here. They're bored. They're hot. They want the sun. Here's the thing. What if, worst case scenario, we just get to drive around and look at this pretty blue sky along the ocean. We get out just for a drive. Maybe that's all this was for 2 hours. Maybe. And I was like, okay, that's better than sitting at home. It's better than sitting at home. So I had to, like, sit back and say, worst case scenario, stop freaking out. It's better than sitting at home. We ended up finding parking. That was great. But I had to actually reel myself back in because I was finding myself get really frustrated because, of course, I just want to pull up, get out, and go onto the beach. California ain't like that. You can't just pull up, get out, go anywhere. Like, it takes you a minute to get anywhere and find parking, pay for parking, and then go do whatever it is that you want to do. So that was something where, like, I had to sit back, take my expectations out of the picture, appreciate the beauty that was around me because Newport Beach is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous homes, beautiful people, beautiful weather, beautiful everything. And I was like, hold on a second. You need to, like, chill out. Quit being so, like, high-strung, which is exactly how I was being. I don't know how he dealt with it, but he did. So that was, like, that was just, like, a personal thing as to, like, an example that I literally just went through, like, on Saturday. But I had to, like, make that switch, which wasn't easy because I had to, like, chill myself out for a second. But I was like, all right, you're kind of being ridiculous right now. Like, let's chill out. And it got a little better until we got out of the car and it got a lot better.
So,
it's tangent talk for Molly today, so you better keep going.
Well, there you have it. I think one of the things, for me at least, in my relationship with Malls, is that I've come to have a great appreciation about who she is, not just who it is that I would want her to be. And I think that that's a very, I feel like that's a very untalked about thing. No matter what it is that you know, no matter what circle that you're in, really at the end of the day, you know, we tend to focus on the things that somebody or something lacks. With Molly, I've definitely come to an appreciation because there are certain things, just like, I mean, sometimes, like, for instance, her personality trait. She's a very bold person. She's a very bold woman. She's a A-type on the personality test. She is a go-getter. She's a red on the color, like pure red.
I want some other colors in there.
No, you red. And so there were certain things that I had to kind of adapt to as a man to entertain a relationship with this kind of woman, because she was in demand of a very particular character like type. And so I had to be a little bit more assertive. The things that I want, the things that I'm in search of, especially relationally, the things that I communicate. She's very keen on communication. So I ended up seeing a lot of this, and she could also be high strung. She's a very high strung person. She has a lot on her plate, a lot, and so mentally she's like always stimulated. So with me, at least, I've come to appreciate a lot about her, because it's given me a lot to meditate on in terms of like, I just couldn't really explain it to you. All I could say is that there are a lot of aspects to her nature that I come to appreciate, and realize that maybe she can tone it down in certain areas, but in full honesty, at the end of the day, she's the woman of my dreams, and it's only because I've turned to an aspect of me learning to appreciate the things that make her who she is. And that is her driving nature. That is her red type personality. That is the things that she's willing to go after and gets, because she is not only a woman of faith, but she's also a woman of ambition. And so I have to learn how to appreciate that. Not just, man, she could be bold, she could be rude, she could be this, she could be that. It's like we have to dive in deeper to the people that we see, whether it's your friends, colleagues, anyone, any significant other in your life, So that's my takeaway, at least.
Diamond Patterson says, I agree, Jay, and I would never share her on my page if she wasn't that for a it factor. If she wasn't that for an it factor. So if she wasn't an it factor? Wait, I don't get it.
I think so.
Mainly.
She's a queen and a diamond. Oh, got it.
Got it. Okay, so she wasn't she wasn't that it factor. Sorry, I was probably reading it wrong. Shoot.
I'm never sure.
Here's the thing. I how Facebook comes up with them little timelines like, hey, like such and such years ago, here's a memory. Man, how many times have I been like, oh, there's an ex. Shoot, no. And
Swipe.
so like that's why people don't want to post, because like that can be really painful for them. But hey, I'm like, you know what? Like when something good's in my life, I'm gonna share it ASAP. I even said, okay, next person, I don't even know if I want to put them out. It's like like in a new relationship on my timeline, but I said, you know what, like I'm gonna do it. I have faith. This is it. Let's run it. And here we are. But honestly, tonight I've just been on this tangent talk all night, and like it's just one of those where that's why I love lives, because you can let it flow. Because how boring would this be if you just recorded it? It'd be super boring. But what's also really cool, and I'm gonna drop it in the comments below, is that we've actually made a YouTube channel. So pretty much all of our videos. Are on there. I can't say every single one, but mostly all of them are on there. So you guys can go back, you can check them out, you can share them with your friends. But as always, if you guys have found any value here, write it below in the comments. Diamond, we appreciate you. Randy, we got Tom in here, Jesse, Crystal, probably a couple of people that I'm missing that have commented in here, but we definitely appreciate you guys coming on and talking with us. So it's not just us talking at you, because we love being able to have these conversations with you. So comment below what you learned, tag somebody, share it in your story, share it on your timeline, let people know that this kind of stuff is out there. We want it to trend, because there's a lot of news that's trending that we don't want to see. You feel me on that? I'm sure you feel me. So anyways, anything else, babe? That's it for me? All right.
That's it.
All right, I'll be sure to drop in the comments below our YouTube channel so you guys can go check it out, watch past stuff, and be blessed. So see you next Monday. Bye.